The NFL draft just wrapped up, and every single one of the 32 franchises walked away with something, whether it's a potential cornerstone, a high upside gamble, or a head-scratching pick that'll be debated for months. But one of the names that stood out in a big way was Colston Loveland. Now the buzz is real. Did the Bears just land the #1 tight end in this class? Not just the best fit for their system, but the top talent overall at the position. That's a legitimate question right now. Because the moment Chicago made that move, everything changed. There were teams trying to climb the board, phones ringing, offers being floated, and just like that, silence. The movement stopped. And that tells you something. Look, we're not just talking about a guy who went early. We're talking about a player who might have been the real target for multiple franchises. Once Loveland was off the board, the urgency to trade up died down. That's not a coincidence. It says a lot about how he was valued around the league. Sure, there were conversations before the draft that some teams had Tyler Warren ranked higher. Some analysts even speculated that 2/3 of the league leaned Warren, while a third preferred Loveland. But if that were true, if Warren was truly seen as the more complete or more desirable prospect, why didn't those teams make a move when he was still sitting there at pick 14? Why didn't anyone go up and get him? The reality is those calls weren't happening anymore. Chicago took Loveland and the momentum just faded. That's not a knock on Tyler Warren. The guy's a tank after the catch, no doubt about it. He's physical, he fights through tackles, and he brings that old school edge you want in a tight end. But Loveland is a different breed. He's the new prototype, quicker, smoother, more dynamic in the passing game. That modern style is what offensive coordinators dream about. And there were multiple reports that the Rams and Chargers were especially active in trying to move up for him. The Rams were all in on finding a tight end in this class and ended up settling for someone else. The Chargers backed out of their spot and didn't end up with a clear answer either, but Chicago didn't hesitate. They saw what they wanted, and they acted. It gets even more interesting when you consider the ripple effect. There were whispers that if Loveland had still been available at pick 13, a move would have gone down. A team was ready, but the Bears snatched him up before that could happen, and everything shifted. That tells you this wasn't just Chicago seeing something special. Other teams saw it too. Loveland's stock was rising fast during draft week, and even with the debate around Warren, the tape and traits started to tip the scale. Some scouts were saying that Loveland had the highest ceiling in the class, and now it's starting to make sense why. He's 2 years younger than Warren, which is no small thing when you're talking about long-term development. He's already polished in the passing game, but still has room to grow. You look at the way he runs routes. It's sharp, fluid, almost effortless. He finds space in the middle of the field like it's second nature. And once he catches the ball, he accelerates quickly. His run after catch ability is underrated. And he doesn't need to run over defenders to make an impact. He uses leverage, angles, and body control to separate. That's huge for a tight end. Warren might give you more brute strength after contact, but Loveland gives you separation and explosiveness. He's the chess piece, and that wasn't lost on teams evaluating quarterback prospects either. When you go back and watch the film, from Michigan, something jumps out immediately. J.J. McCarthy was always looking Loveland's way. Not just in clean pocket situations, but especially when the play broke down. You could tell there was trust there. When J.J. rolled out, which he did a lot, Loveland instinctively found the open lane, moved with the quarterback, and kept himself in the throwing window. That's rare for a college tight end. A lot of guys freeze or drift into traffic, but Loveland adjusted like a pro. He gave his quarterback a target and made some ridiculously difficult catches look routine. Those scramble drill moments are where you really see the value of a player like this. When the quarterback is out of structure, you need someone who doesn't just stick to the route tree. You need a guy who understands timing, spacing, and how to come back to the ball. Loveland did that time and time again. The quarterback would break the pocket, and boom, there was Loveland finding soft spots, moving with urgency, making plays. That chemistry with JJ was no accident, and the Bears probably saw that on tape when they were doing their homework. On McCarthy. That's when Loveland jumped off the screen. That's when they knew. What makes Loveland even more valuable in today's game is how cleanly he fits the modern mold of the receiving tight end. He's not going to maul defenders in the run game just yet, but he doesn't have to be a dominant blocker on day one. That's not what this league prioritizes anymore. What matters is how many mismatches you can create. Can you pull a linebacker out of the box? Can you win one-on-one against a safety? Can you be a red zone threat? Loveland checks all those boxes. His catch radius is enormous. The guy's 6'6", almost 250 pounds, and still moves like a slot receiver. You don't teach that. Now, of course, there's room to develop. He's not Gronk in the trenches. But go back and look at Travis Kelce in his early years. Even he wasn't a dominant blocker at first. He grew into it. He learned how to use his size. That can happen with Loveland too, especially if he puts on another 10 pounds and works on his leverage technique. But even if he stays as a pure receiving threat, that's more than enough. You don't draft a player like this to be a sixth offensive lineman. You draft him to catch 75 passes and keep defensive coordinators up at night. That's what he brings. Defenders are going to hate covering him. If you're a linebacker, you're too slow. If you're a safety, you're too small. And if you're a nickel corner, you better pray the ball isn't coming your way, because Loveland is going to outbody you every time. He has that blend of size and quickness that's just unfair. And in Ben Johnson's system, which thrives on motion, spacing, and exploiting coverage rules, Loveland is the perfect weapon. He's going to line up all over the field, in line, in the slot, even out wide. Defenses won't know what's coming, and that's where the impact is going to be felt immediately. Even if he doesn't put up gaudy numbers as a rookie, the attention he draws is going to open things up for everyone else. Defenses will have to account for him, and that changes the geometry of the field. It's going to make life easier for the quarterback, the running backs, and the receivers. This pick wasn't just about filling a need, it was about unlocking the full potential of the offense. Now, some people are wondering, how many touchdowns can Loveland realistically score in his rookie year? It's a fair question. You don't want to set the bar too high, but based on the way he fits and the kind of opportunities he's going to get, it wouldn't be crazy to see him hit 6 or 7 scores, maybe even more if things click early. He's going to be a red zone magnet. He's going to make contested catches. And if he stays healthy, there's no reason he can't be one of the most productive tight ends from this draft class right away. And that's really the takeaway here. The Bears didn't just get a guy, they got the guy. Other teams wanted him. The board shifted the second he was taken. That kind of impact doesn't happen often. Loveland might not have been the unanimous TE1 in every war room, but he sure looked like it once the dust settled. While the Loveland pick brought clarity and excitement to the Bears draft class, the situation surrounding the running back position was a bit murkier. There was a moment during day 2 when it looked like Chicago might make a move. Rumors were swirling that the team had their eyes on a particular back, Trayvon Henderson, and were actively exploring trade-up scenarios to secure him. The belief is they were trying to move up roughly 4 spots, possibly targeting Tennessee's 35th pick, but another franchise stepped in with a better offer, and the opportunity slipped away. That moment could end up being one of the biggest what-ifs of this draft for Chicago. Now, let's be clear. Trayvon Henderson wasn't a can't-miss prospect, but his skill set made a lot of sense for what the Bears were building. He brings reliable pass protection, can catch out of the backfield, and he has the type of vision and burst that fits well in a modern offense. With DeAndre Swift already in the building, some wondered if the pairing would be redundant, but in reality, Henderson could have been the future. Swift is under contract, but there's no long-term certainty. This was a chance to find a potential replacement before it became a pressing issue. Instead, the team waited, and by the time they were back on the clock, the board had changed completely. That's how drafts go sometimes. You got a plan, you make the calls, but the pieces just don't fall your way. 2 running backs the team had on their radar were gone within 3 picks of their next scheduled selection. By the time they finally made a pick at the top of the 4th round, it was more about value than need. It wasn't necessarily the ideal situation, but that doesn't mean it was a failure either. Sometimes these later picks surprise you. And that's what the Bears are hoping for here, that one of these names turns into more than just depth. The key now is development. The rookie minicamp is right around the corner, and that's where the evaluation process truly begins. We'll start to see how these guys learn, how they move, how they fit. For the running back in question, it's an uphill battle. He was taken in the 7th round, and while the expectations are lower, the opportunity is there. His profile is intriguing. Not the fastest guy in the field, not the most explosive, but there's a toughness to his game. He stays balanced. Through contact, sees the field well, and runs with purpose. Those traits don't always show up in practice shorts, but once the pads come on, That's when the real picture emerges. The coaching staff won't learn everything in May or June. There won't be any dramatic jukes or highlight reel stiff arms during these early sessions. That kind of evaluation comes in August, when live reps start and players are finally hitting each other. Until then, it's about absorbing the playbook, building chemistry, and proving you belong in the room. And that's no small task. These rosters are deep. If you're a late round back trying to make the cut, every rep counts. Still, there's optimism. The Bears seem genuinely intrigued by this player's toughness and ability to contribute in multiple phases. He might not wow you in drills, but he doesn't need to. If he can show consistency, reliability, and the willingness to compete, he'll earn his shot. And it helps that the current running back group isn't loaded with elite, untouchable talent. There's room to climb. All eyes will be on how this rookie adjusts in those early camps, especially once the veterans return and the tempo picks up. That's when things get real. It's one thing to flash in a no-contact drill. It's another to pick up a blitz from a seasoned linebacker or to find daylight against a first-team defense. That's the challenge ahead, and it's one this staff seems ready to evaluate carefully. Looking at the broader picture, there are still some roster spots that feel unsettled. Running back might be the most talked about, but it's not alone. Safety could become a concern if injuries hit. Depth at a few other positions might get tested earlier than expected, but overall, the structure is solid. The roster has been built with balance in mind. Now it's about coaching and maximizing what they have. And maybe that's the biggest difference this year. There's real talent on the field. Now it's up to the staff to unlock it. Some of these players, whether drafted high like Loveland or late like that running back, are going to define how far this team can go. The story is just beginning. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson raised eyebrows this week with his candid remarks about rookie wide receiver Rome Odunze, admitting that he was shocked by the player's underwhelming technical performance during recent team practices. The comment comes as a surprise, considering Odunze's reputation coming out of college, where he was praised for his athleticism and potential as a top-tier receiver. Johnson, known for his meticulous approach to player development, did not hold back when asked about the early impressions Odunze has left in training camp. I'll be honest, I was surprised, even a bit scared by how raw he still is. Johnson stated, "We expected a bit more polish, especially in terms of route running and timing. He's got the physical tools, but there's a lot of work to be done." Odunze, drafted in the first round amid much fanfare, was seen as a key addition to bolster the Bears' receiving core. However, Johnson's remarks suggest that the transition to the NFL has not been smooth for the young wideout. Coaches have reportedly been working closely with him to refine his footwork, improve his route precision, and build stronger chemistry with the team's quarterbacks. Despite the coach's initial disappointment, there remains hope within the organization that Odunze will adapt and develop quickly. He's coachable when he wants to learn. That's the most important thing, Johnson added. We just have to be patient and help him translate his natural ability into consistent performance on the field. While it's still early, in the offseason, Johnson's honesty sheds light on the challenges even highly drafted players can face at the professional level. For Odunze, the message is clear. Talent alone won't guarantee success in the NFL. As Bears fans look ahead to the new season, all eyes will be on how the rookie responds to the challenge laid before him by his coach. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.